It's been a while, but finally someone at DC, specifically Jim Lee, is actually talking about the Justice League sequels. Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flix. My name is Chris Wong. So with the Snyder Cut finally on digital, there are fans who actually went to San Diego Comic-Con and actually got to talk to Jim Lee at his panel. Now, if you remember back in the day, Jim Lee, Jeff Johns, and Zack Snyder worked on those giant storyboards that was in Zack Snyder's office. It was pretty much a highlight of all the major things that would happen in Justice League 2 and Justice League 3. And not only did Zack Snyder had all those storyboards, he actually had them and put them in a little temporary museum for everyone to see, which got fans excited for Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3 if that were to ever happen. Because like Zack Snyder said, if he would never make Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3, this would be the closest we can understand what Justice League 2 and 3 was going to be about. Now, Zack Snyder did say that those storyboards are from the past. If he were to make Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3, it would be fundamentally a little bit different from those original storyboards. He would make new storyboards for his Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3. And being that the last time we heard about anything about Justice League sequels was during Warner Media's time when the ex-CEO and Sarnoff said they weren't continuing Zack Snyder's Justice League. But seeing that Jim Lee worked on that stuff and that Jim Lee is the chief creative officer for DC Comics, he is also actively involved in the development of new DC films. So now at this year's San Diego Comic-Con, a fan asked Jim Lee directly, is Jim Lee actively working on the storyboards for the Justice League sequels?
Would be drawing boards for those, or if they've asked you, or if they would ask you, would you?
You know what's amazing is that we spent 2 years in lockdown, and here we are back at a convention, celebrating the art form, feeling good. You know, I work on the projects that are in development, right? And so, you know, I think the Snyder Cut was Zack's vision realized, and it was a really satisfying, story told, but there's no plans for additional work on that material. So I was happy to help contribute to the pitch for the other stuff, and it was kind of fun to actually see that stuff get out there, because I did that years ago, and I actually thought it had been erased, but they had kept it in storage. Right?
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, a lot of people are gathering here that the Snyderverse is over. And for right now, that appears to be the case, as Zack Snyder is totally involved with his Rebel Moon universe. He's also doing the Army of the Dead universe over on Netflix. And because Jim Lee is the chief creative officer for DC Comics, and he said it himself that he's actively working on the development of DC films, it appears to be like they have no current plans for Justice League sequels. Now, I have to mention, this doesn't mean Jim Lee doesn't want to make Justice League sequels. He is just involved in the development, not the announcement of Justice League sequels. So I'm sure that if at any time that they are ready or willing to make Justice League 2 and 3, Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3, I'm sure that Jim Lee would very much be happy to develop and create those sequels. Warner Media is out. Warner Bros. Discovery just took over a few months ago, and they're still actively looking for that Kevin Feige type DC film head. Like I've always said, there are probably no actual real plans for future movies after the Flash movie. There may be these scripts and these project ideas in development, but I feel like they're waiting for that Kevin Feige type person. And once again, Zack Snyder is super busy at Netflix. He has a lot of projects in his hands right now. If Warner Bros. Discovery actually reaches out to him and says, hey, you want to come make some Justice League sequels? he'd probably do it, but probably after the Netflix obligation, which could be many years from now. So, we'll see what happens. Alright, what do you think about Jim Lee's comments about the Justice League sequels? Share your thoughts in the comments down below.